Senator Smith.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair and Ranking Member. I really appreciate this hearing and hearing the testimony of all of you. And as we think about what it's going to take to boost domestic demand for American-grown food and fuel and fiber, I want to just first say thank you all so much for your strong support for biofuels, year-round E15, and the opportunities around sustainable aviation fuel and marine fuels. And it's really exciting to think about what we can do with bio-based products. I know there are Minnesota companies that are working on this, and there's a huge opportunity there. I'm struck by how our innovation and value add has always been our competitive advantage in this country. That has been fueled by a big public-private partnership. You've got private industry, you've got academic institutions, you've got the federal government, land grants, extension, all doing the kind of research that it takes. And I just hope, colleagues, that as we think about the role of the federal government, as we think about a farm bill, that we are paying attention to the support that we need to provide to research, because I think it's just crucially important. I also just want to put a note on the impact of labor shortages that quite a few of you have been talking about and what that means for farm country. And I can't let this moment pass without observing that in my home state of Minnesota, the administration's immigration policies has had a devastating impact on farm labor. And food processing labor. And as farmers, as we think about getting ready to go into the field and the work that we have ahead of us this spring, there are a lot of people that are just not there anymore, not because they were here illegally, but because it is too risky for them, even with their legal status, to be here in Minnesota to do the work. So I just think we all need to think really hard about what impact these immigration policies are having on our domestic food production. But I want to go to something, Mr. Perdue, that you were talking about that I think is really interesting and very relevant to this conversation. We've got rising input costs, we've got the impacts of tariffs, the impact of the war, the Iran war on pushing these costs even higher. And it's no secret, right, that one of the biggest factors that we have here is the lack of options that farmers face because of corporate consolidation. And this is an issue both on the supply side, like where are you going to get your inputs, what companies control those inputs, and it's also a big issue on the demand side. If you are producing beef or corn or pork, the few numbers of who you can sell to. Minnesota farmers will often say to me basically, I feel more and more like I'm just a contractor to a big company, that my business is not even my own anymore. So this is an issue that many folks on both sides of the aisle have worked on in this committee. Could you just speak a little bit more to this and what impact you see this consolidation has on the overall competitiveness as we want to build bigger domestic markets for American-grown food in this country?
Senator Smith, appreciate the question. And when you look at the reality of the markets, again, that we buy from and sell to, most of them are controlled by 3-4 companies control 80-85% of those markets. And one of the things that I consistently hear from neighbors, friends, fellow farmers and ranchers across the state of North Dakota is input costs are just through the roof.
Right.
And, we need to figure out some way to provide relief, but, now we have additional geopolitical tensions, right? The Strait of Hormuz and some of the challenges there, driving another increase in already high fertilizer costs. That fertilizer cost on an acre of wheat is about 40% of your production cost, and that's going up 30% now. I mean, you can't make it work. You can't make it pencil out, and we have to look at market structures and the ways in which they create challenges for market participants.
Right, and there are, I would just add, there are a lot of good ideas on, again, as I said, on both sides of the aisle. I have legislation with many of my colleagues to get at this consolidation issue and the direct impact it's having on the ability of producers to make a profit. And you said there's just not enough money in farm country, and I would argue that there is a lot of money in farm country. It's just that it's going to fewer and fewer institutions and organizations, and that's the problem that we have to get after. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.